All right, settle down, guys.
Hi, everybody, I'm AJ. I'm really excited to pitch to you our game, Gloomstalker. So in the near future, there will be a company that revolutionizes the entertainment industry with their patented cloud technology. Okay, so there's supposed to be a little advertisement there, similar to what we saw on the network. So we just have to play that because it's redundant. So this company called Umber has created a machine that we call the clouds. Within the clouds, users can experience their wildest dreams or desires. They just outfit themselves with the equipment known as the Icarus, walk into the cloud, and their alternate reality is created around them. Now, what happens in the clouds is completely real. It is not virtual. They're not asleep. They're not dreaming. They're experiencing, they're touching, feeling everything like it's in real life. The events of Gloomstalker rotate around an event where that technology goes awry. Here's an example of the Icarus gauntlet that users wear while they're in the clouds. So, in the scope of the game, a tormented human mind steps into the cloud technology, and that power of creation of the clouds leads to a dangerous situation where the matter in the clouds escapes its confinement, which is not supposed to happen. So it's going to be a third-person horror game with a sci-fi theme, and a major hook will be that we never take away control from the players, where all of the high production value sequences will be interactive cinematics. We're going to show you a couple videos of other games that really set the tone for Gloomstalker, although the tone word is in the title, in gloom, meaning a state of darkness or a depression and despair. Okay, so in the game, the players will assume the role of Dr. James Umber. He is the lead scientist and engineer behind the Umber technology, and he created it so that he could give humanity paradise. However, when people were really allowed to use the clouds, he saw that they were living out much darker and depraved fantasies than he had originally expected. This really conflicted him and caused him to grow more and more into a state of despair. When a tragic event with a coworker occurs, he falls into the deepest state of depression he's ever been in, so he seeks refuge in the cloud paradise. And that's where we will begin the game. It's an Umber's paradise experience. However, his deep conflict within his mind quickly encroaches on this experience and causes it to become dark and broken as the Stalker appears. He attempts to flee and turn off the machines, but he can't shut it down, and in a struggle with the Stalker, his Icarus becomes damaged. more electrical malfunctions occur, walls start blowing out, static shocks everywhere, and eventually a large power surge from the cloud's malfunction blows out the building, causing him much damage and knocking him unconscious. Umber will wake up in the now darkened and damaged laboratory, not knowing how long he was out for. Environmental cues such as signs and emergency letters will notify him where he's supposed to go as he learns about the backstory, what happened during his events, and players learn about Umber and Onera as a company. Now, the ending of the game is an important point in this, and it's something that really drives the inspiration behind the character and mechanics. So, what's better than just slaying a monster? Making it work for you. So, when Umber is finally reaching the main goal of the game, which is to shut down Onera's primary server that generates all of the power for the clouds, he is confronted with the choice whether or not to just simply destroy it and go on with his life, or whether or not he can do something different. Now, he thinks about how this tragedy was strictly related to him. He created the clouds. He was in the cloud that malfunctioned, and now a lot of people are dead. He knows that the company, Onera, will surely sell him out as a scapegoat. He'll be locked up, or executed, or worse. So, his primary option is, instead, to take that server power chip, insert it into his own Icarus, and now he can control the realities he has created, including the Stalker. So our primary gameplay pillars will be to not explicitly tell players everything they need to do. Instead, they will learn about the environment and the backstory through what they see and hear around them. We want the game to be not so strictly linear in an exploratory fashion either, so there will be areas of the lab that will be open or closed depending on what the player does and learns and solves and gains access to new areas. Setting the atmosphere will be absolutely important for any horror game. You need proper sounds and lighting to create that. And, of course, the awesome and hopefully high production value, intense interactions with the Stalker and other dreamers. So Umber will be navigating this facility, and he'll need to repair his own Icarus in order to keep moving. The way he'll be able to do that is to seek out Icarus that other customers were wearing when the malfunction occurred. He doesn't know where these people are, if they're trapped or dead, or what state their Icaruses are in, but he knows that the only way he'll be able to continue with his journey is to reach them. A heightened security after the tragedy has made it so the doors and windows are all covered by security shields, absolutely preventing his escape until his mission is solved. So this is a sketch of the Icarus gauntlet, just the part that goes onto your arm. It has some extra parts that connect onto the back and head that you'll see later. The primary purpose of this in the scope of the fiction is that users wear this to interface with their own subconscious so that the cloud can create a dream experience that you couldn't even imagine. Something that you thought you wanted, it gives you a step better. It makes it more intense. It really can change your life with what you experience. And as far as in the game, the Gauntlet will provide the primary player actions in that it can shine light on areas, it can be used as an electrical tool, or it can be used as a weapon. So as far as examples, it's going to be dark. The power surge from the malfunction will have blown out a lot of the electronics. They won't be powered off, they'll just be broken and damaged, so there'll be sparking electricity everywhere and many dark rooms that he'll need to light. Also as a tool, he'll be able to rewire circuits or broken computers. This leaves a lot of room for gameplay mechanics such as puzzle solving or needing to go around and find pieces that are missing, and generally can drive progression through a game that way. And the final resort will be the weapon. Now, the Icarus does not have an infinite amount of power. Using it as a weapon will discharge all of the rest of your energy. Now, this powerful electric shock can stun or knock out, maybe even kill other humans, and eventually, after you get some power, can also stun the Stalker briefly. And we'll listen a little bit more about how the Stalker works now. So, he is a primary danger throughout the entire game. The Stalker originated from Umber's cloud, and in the malfunction was not destroyed, like the dream matter should be when each simulation ends. So we know this, and we know that other dreamers also have things remaining from their simulations as well. The Stalker will lurk around corners, control passageways, and jump you many chances that he gets. There will be some slight environmental tells to alert players that the Stalker is near, such as creeping darkness aura that envelops it, or eerie noises, or clankings, clatterings, etc. So this is a little bit of a general diagram about how the game flow would progress. These large areas will simulate the high-intensity moments where Umber is interacting with other dreamers and gaining Icarus parts. And these places in between show the not completely open world, but branching non-linear areas of the lab that he will be exploring in order to gain access to the next cloud. This dotted line symbolizes the fact that it'd be really simple to include more of these experiences or less of these experiences based on our scope issues. So, similar to the way I was referring to dreamers, this clip from Dead Space demonstrates a confused human in a terrifying situation. So he doesn't know how exactly the dreamers could react, and there could be a spectrum of emotions there. As far as engine considerations, we mostly looked at UDK. It has a powerful shader to really bring the dark aura of the Stalker to life. It has lots of lighting options that will fit our light, our dark, our electrical and non-electrical sources of light. That is really going to be an important part of the game. We also have the matinee tool, which really caters to those interactive cinematics I was talking about, where a goal of Gloomstalker will be to never take control from the player. So even if they're in a confined cloud with something specifically happening that they should watch, they will still be able to move freely and look around freely. And the Kismet tool is a visual scripting tool that is great for producers to create the abundance of events that will be populating the dark hallways of Onera. So why make this game? Well, we can get a complete experience in a rather short amount of gameplay with this malfunction, the journey, and the resolution. And I believe that it has a strong resolution as well. It'll create a lasting impression through fear. Everybody can remember scary movies they've seen, nights that they stayed up awake, and it creates a really a strong emotional response, possibly more than sadness or happiness or anything else. Like I said, with including cutting more clouds, we could easily scope the game up or down depending on our constraints, and that will result in a polished AAA experience that we'll all be proud to show. So specifically for producers, the level design will be very important, as we don't want to route players linearly through it. We want to encourage exploration and learning through environmental tells or short interactions with other characters. And of course, choreographing the jump scares, which is just a fun thing to do. And dynamic 3D sounds will play a pivotal role in keeping the player immersed and feeling like they're really wandering through the dark halls of Onera. Programmers will have a unique challenge in programming the Stalker's AI, since it'll have to provide a variety of different functions, lurking, patrolling, attacking, and very heavily scripted experiences we want the player to always experience. So there could be issues with the Stalker in revisiting territory and stuff like that, and programmers will have lots of time to experiment with that. There also need to be a robust camera system, as the character will navigate both dark and tight corridors, as well as high-intensity action sequences that we will want to make sure the camera always focuses on, but then moves back to a free camera when they're navigating. And they'll have to integrate all of these high-quality animations that artists will provide. So I think this game has a lot to offer for artists, because this stylized realism combining the futuristic architecture with the dream fractures really allows for a lot of creativity. And tech artists and environmental artists can work together to get these shaders and lighting working properly, and especially responding to the player as they do things. And of course, animation. The Stalker is going to need to be creepy. That's why he bends over and crawls Exorcist style. But that's just one example of a way he could really freak out players with the way he moves. It'll have to be unnatural and scary, whereas the player will also need to be animated quite well to look natural. So before I go into questions and answers, I want to show you a little video that we think really encompasses the look and feel of what gameplay would be like when the game's made.
What?
Oh my gosh, that's where it went. It's so weird. I'm sorry about that. It's in Rio. Okay, and that's Gloomstalker. Thank you. Let's go with that.
I think this may have been one of your first slides, so I apologize if I'm re-asking.
No, it's okay.
So what exactly is the main mechanic? Or is it survival horror? Is it puzzle solving? Is it fighting?
Definitely not fighting. Combat is the last resort. The main mechanic, besides navigating puzzle solving, is managing the resource management tool with the Icarus. So you'll have a finite amount of lighting that you can do. When you run out, you will have to find a new place to recharge or remember a place you were previously that you can go back to if you were not able to maybe solve what you were doing in time. The tool function allows a lot of room for later down the road to maybe come up with a Bioshock-style hacking mini game, or simply just finding the pieces that need to go into the right puzzle slots, or a lot of different things like that. But primarily, it's navigation, lighting, and combat's the last resort. David.
Onera.
Mm-hmm.
Why that name? You have Umber, Shadow, and you have Icarus, a common allegory for hubris.
Mm-hmm.
Onera.
Onera is Greek for dream.
Okay.
Next question.
This might be going off a little bit what Adam said. So I saw that last thematic you had. The stalker shows up in front of you. You're scared. Well, what do you expect the player to do then?
Okay, so this is kind of, I guess I touched on a little bit in Stalker AI. The Stalker will be able to be eluded. It's not all powerful. If it appears in front of you or catches you off guard, you can flee. If you remember your surroundings well, you can find a room, you can go through corridors. This is the complex AI I'm talking about. You'll be able to lose the Stalker. Eventually, you'll be able to stun it as well, giving you a little bit extra time to maybe complete some door openings or other things that need to happen around before you become killed.
One of the things about the Stalker's AI that I think AJ might have not mentioned was that he doesn't just charge at you instantaneously. If you see the Stalker in a room and it's like looking at you, you have a couple seconds to get away before it starts lunging at you. It has to be looking at you for several seconds before it'll attack. So if you're fast enough, you're observant enough, you can evade it if it's waiting for you.
Right, it's a slight time-based mechanic, but we don't want to make time pressure a constant problem in the game. It's more about where you are and what you do. Nick.
How do you make the fear in this game differentiate from other fear games? Because you said you have a lot of bullet points that are kind of reminiscent of a lot of other horror games. So what's going to make Gloomstalker the most fearful possibly?
I think an important thing in that is this juxtaposition between absolute paradise and absolute hell. Mm-hmm. So the Onera facility is meant for rich people to come and enjoy themselves through this absolutely extravagant form of entertainment, which creates utter paradise. And through the cloud technology's ability to interface with human subconscious, it turns out to bring something much more dark. So something about, like we saw in that brief fear clip where you see just a rocking baby cradle, that's scarier to have a monster come out of that than if it already looked like an alien egg or something like that, because you expect it.
Yeah.
So this concept leaves a lot of room for getting players a little off guard maybe, and they walk into an area that looks fairly nice or clean or sleek, or if they interact with another dreamer and they're having a very happy dream, and then Umber disturbing that causes the dreamer to react violently, and then things can go really big shifts from happy to sad. Mike.
You mentioned at the end of the game you're giving this player the choice to either, I guess, shut down the dreams or harness his altered reality. But what reason would the player want to harness the altered reality of this character who's filled with so much torment and evil, I guess?
Well, it wouldn't really be a player decision, more as it is just a story point ending, is that the character must do this in order to continue on living. And that's through a general realization that there is no hope for him after this. And instead of making him die, or making just the stalker die and him go to jail, or just ending it with some weaker ending, we felt like this would be a lot more powerful and memorable. Dusty?
Are you going to be able to wield any of the powers of the Stalker, or is that the end of the game, or what?
I mean, yes, we had planned on that just being the end of the game, but given scope issues or sequelitis or something like that, that would be cool. There's no doubt that would be fun, but it's more of just a real pivotal twist ending than it is adding a new game mechanic. Not to say that it's not possible. One more question, Sean?
How much variance in environment from Dream Sphere or whatever, Dreamer into Dreamer, you would have to do again?
Okay, that's a great question. Well, each dream experience could be completely different. Each cloud that Umber is able to enter could be completely different. And the way the architecture is set up, I would think it'd be a really modular environment where we could reuse a lot of some hallways and rooms and stuff like that, and then populate those rooms with different objects or different fractures from other people's dream realities. So I really think the variance is almost limitless, where we could have extremely dark areas, we could have areas with just a nice field of flowery meadow right down a hallway, just because of this whole concept where this manifested realities have just run rampant. All right, thank you.